Man, I haven't done streaming for a while, guys. So give me a second. I'm just setting up a few things just to make sure I'm gonna answer all your questions to the best of my abilities, and I'm gonna make sure that the stream actually works right, so that it's not gonna glitch out or something like that. How are you guys doing? Glad you guys are already pretty much. That's a pretty full chat box over there. Um, yeah, what I'm going to do first, by the way, is I'm going to go ahead and answer all the questions from the question submission that I started on Monday. Then I'll jump over to this chat box over here that's currently going on with the live stream. So I'll try to get all your questions, but, we'll go from there after that. And, yeah, I hope it's, a good time. OBS. Man, thank the world for OBS, because that stuff helps so much, this broadcasting software. By the way, midway through this, I'm going to upload the next episode of Cartoon Chat, so yeah, that's going to be happening at the same time. If you guys are interested, check that out too. That's with Mark Warren, aka K9 Biscuits, so yeah. Let's see. All right, let's start. Okay. Classic nerdy nostalgia. As I'm going from the very bottom all the way up to the top. Classic nerdy nostalgia. I'm going to start off with you. What's the best shows of the 80s and 90s in your opinion? You know what? I've got top of my head. I'll say Simpsons definitely. I think Simpsons has definitely dropped in quality since obviously the 80s and 90s, but I think that was such a good sort of like slice of life family show with a goofy attitude, but just down to earth at times. I was I enjoy the episodes that were based in the 90s of The Simpsons. When I watched Voltron, the DreamWorks Voltron, I got interested into the 80s Voltron as well. That was very cool, and I think not Alvin and the Chipmunks, but I'd say Chippendale. Yeah. I don't think I've seen much, if not any, of the Alvin and the Chipmunks 80s series, but Chippendale. That I remember as a kid watching a few episodes of that on VHS, so that one's always there too. 80s wise, I still have a lot to like check out 80s wise, but yeah, those three, I'd go ahead and lock those in right now as the best in my opinion from the ones that are off the top of my head. Jump over to the 90s, bunch of them, right? Like I think the one that I love the most is probably Rocko's Modern Life, just because of the way in which how Rocko acts, who Rocko is as a character, his surroundings, and I'm so excited for the new upcoming movie or short or episodes coming out on Nick. I'd have to say also you have SpongeBob Season 1. I think SpongeBob Season 1 is some of the best animation, and not animation wise animation, but best cartoon, one of the best cartoons in the 90s. It's one of my favorite cartoon seasons in general. Just, it's so funny, it's so cool. I have a lot of fun rewatching it. You go over to Rugrats, of course, Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, those two as well. I think that overall, if I were to say those five or four, those five are like those are my favorites. So 90s, 80s, I still have a lot to learn again. Don't hold this on me forever. This will change, obviously, and that's one of the fun things about Attack the Block. I can make some new stuff, I can do whatever, and it's a whole like big fun time. So yeah. Michael Robb asks favorite Studio Ghibli movie. Now I have a few. Everyone talks about Mononoke, Princess Mononoke. I remember I've seen that very recently. I didn't see that as a kid. I saw it very recently, and man, is that a good movie. Definitely, I think they're best. But my favorite, I've seen Ponyo, and I always enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching The Wind Rises. I enjoy watching Castle in the Sky a lot. I love the sci-fi nature of Castle in the Sky. I love the dystopian future of Castle in the Sky. I love the style of it. But I love Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, the most. Like that first one, you know, it's really dated. You know, they're like they're imperfections, but I love that, again, sci-fi nature. I love the aircraft designs, the big hulking metal beasts that they are. I love the dogfighting in the skies, and just like the threat of the jungle itself. I think that's also really cool. And then, of course, you have Nausicaa as a character, how she approaches things, so very different from the rest of the communities, so very different from the rest of all the other factions of humanity. I just think it's a great movie. Forming 4 asks, do you seriously like The Loud House? You know, I like The Loud House like I like Rugrats, like I like Rocco, like I like Mr. Meaty, like I like I think that it should be, you know, put up there alongside other Nicktoons. I don't think that it's not Fanboy and Chum Chum. It's not Planet Sheen. It's not Fairly Odd Parents in the last season of its life. It is I think it's a great Nicktoon, and you know, I appreciate that we still have great Nicktoons coming out, because we had an era in the early 2010s and the late 2000s where it was just like the Nicktoons name was being really tarnished. And I really appreciate that there are Nicktoons like The Loud House still being made that are still fun and have that style to them that is of their own identity. So, you know, The Loud House, I think, great, you know, for the lineage of the Nicktoons brand. I just wish that there were more, you know. I wish there were more Nicktoons to enjoy. I wish that there were more to go out and check out, and I wish that it was more fun. So, just because it's not like the 2010s, I mean, it's not like the 2000s, it's not like the 90s where there was just a massive lineup of animation. I really appreciated when that was the era, but Nick doesn't need to do that anymore. That's the whole difference. Thanks for the question. Tace Kiem asks, do you think Cartoon Network needs a new era? You know, I think like bumper wise, yes. I really would love to see a brand new bumper out of Cartoon Network. I thought this 25th anniversary was the perfect time for that. I thought that they missed a grand opportunity in doing that. Something brand new, something fresh. I mean, Nick's changed out their bumpers for multiple times, and Cartoon Network sort of stick with this Check It. I'm trying to think of the other name, the newer name of it's not Check It anymore, but it's something else. But they all mesh together, and I don't. It was cool, but I'm done with that. It's great, it's cool, but I'd like to see something new, something a little more modern, something a little unique, and that's not what we see right now with Cartoon Network. So I think that, you know, if you're talking about like president-wise, I think we should give benefit of the doubt, give Miller more time, and here's why. 3 years into Snyder's run, as I said in the video that I made a couple days ago, it didn't look good at all. Like, his first half was awful, right? Like, if you look at it from what he was doing to the brand itself, and then you look at how people reacted to it, and then you see 2010, everything shifted, and now we have this resurgence. Obviously, that resurgence is sort of over at this point, but you look at how Cartoon Network changed itself within half of Snyder's leadership, and I think that we might see that in Miller's leadership. That's the interesting thing about about each president, how they go out and approach things, and how they change things, and how they adapt and make things more unique. That's going to be the interesting thing about it. Quentin Feezy asks, do you think animation on TV is dead? And you know, I pulled some of these questions together because I thought that they would make sense together. But Santiago Quintana asks, how long do you think cable cartoon channels will last? And Cartoons All Day asks, will animation even survive? By the way, if I get these names wrong, don't hate me. I'm trying my best here, man. I'm trying my best. I'm not the greatest linguistic. So I will answer your questions. Do you think animation channels will last? Will animation even survive? I think animation always will survive. I mean, you see this on YouTube, you see it on Hulu, Netflix. All the streaming platforms have pretty much with open arms accepted animation. It has become the new ground and the new step for animation to take. I mean, there's always going to be movies and animation. I just think that cable is just a dying form in itself. So, like, animation on cable might die just because the cable format itself will die. Look at Saturday morning cartoons. They're pretty much gone because they were so censored, and it killed them all. It pretty much killed the the ability to be unique, to have a status that isn't just educational based. So, you know, you look at these secondary cable channels, for instance, the one with the premiere package like Disney XD, Boomerang, Nicktoons Network, they're all dying because not only is it that they're dying because of the paywall, it's just that people aren't interested anymore. Like, you don't need to watch that because there's other places to watch. So, you know, I think it'll be a little while until we look at Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and Disney. Well, I mean, Disney is going into streaming, so we'll see them push something in animation with streaming. But it's going to be interesting with Nick and Cartoon Network how long they keep pushing in cable before they say, all right, let's go ahead and move out of this window. Nick, I think, is going to be good for a while. It's Cartoon Network that I'm curious about. But yeah, cable's dying. Animation as a whole, I don't think isn't. Oh, sorry, Quintana, you said how long do you think cartoon channels will last? I'd say probably, I think secondary 2020s is where those secondary channels like Disney XD and Nicktoons Network and Teen Nick, those were, I think, where we'll see them sort of really lose that momentum. That they're already losing momentum significantly. I think it's time by the late 2010s. I mean, like by the 2020s at least, that they will go, and then probably 2030, 2040 is when, if cable goes the direction that we're seeing it go, that's when we're really going to see these other channels, these bigger hub channels, start to really fall off. That's just in my opinion, and that's if the market continues to go the way that it does. Switch Speedster asks, which network block do you miss the most? And Knight77 asks, what's your favorite Saturday morning cartoon block? And I put these together because they're the same thing. Kids WB. Now, you guys have said time and time again, where's this video? Where's this video? I am making this video. It's not gone. It's not going to be far off. It's just something that is, it takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of time. And at times I'm working on that video. I'm working on that script, and then I'll push over and work on like the Snyder Era video, and I'll work on why Cartoon Network should die in 2008. I'll work on these other videos that are just as interesting to me because I find interest in like 500 different things, and then I'll jump back to that one. So it just takes time because this is such a bigger thing. I think that Kids WB has such effort put into it, and Kids WB had such quality to it that I want to make sure that is told in the Attack the Block series. So yeah, that's just a lot of research. I'll make that video, and I think Kids WB is definitely like the best that's ever been for Saturday morning cartoon blocks and network blocks. So yeah. Dragon Bro 307 asks, do you think Cartoon Network, Disney, and Nickelodeon are dead? You know, I don't think they're dead. Yeah, they're not dead. They're definitely in their own styles at the moment. I mean, Nick is the one that's the most unidentifiable to me because it just isn't like the Nicktoons hub that it used to be. It's a lot of sitcoms, and I think those sitcoms are garbage because I just don't like sitcoms in general. But I think that you look at Cartoon Network, they're still pushing on animation, but they rely a lot on acquired cartoons, and that's the difference. It's just like the next 25 years. I think that's where we're going to see a big curiosity of how long these things will last, what we're going to see out of them, and how long, it'll last. Jerry Stevens asks, what's your opinion on Villainous? Or Villanos? Pronunciation, once again. Here's the thing, like, this is one of the things that I didn't say in the Future of Cartoon Network video because I didn't even notice that it was there because I didn't pay attention to the other regions of the world when making a video based in America, when I should have obviously done that. I think that, I love the art style. Like, I think the biggest thing, though, that I love is that it has a soul. Like, it has a soul of like a 2000s Cartoon Network show. Like, it doesn't feel dead. It feels like it has its own identity. It has a soul, and I love the characters. I love it's goofy, it's fun, and it just has an identity. Kind of like how Magisword has its own identity. Kind of like how OKKO has its own identity. How Regular Show had its own identity. I think that this show has its own identity as well. So, yeah. Carl Bloke asks, do you hope Christina Miller and Vishnu get fired and replaced by Jim Samples? big question. A lot of people are hoping this. I think Vishnu should be the one that gets booted, but I don't think that Miller should. Now I do like this. Like, this is a cool concept. You know, like Jim Samples comes back like a Steve Jobs kind of thing. He's like, oh, I'm back. I'm gonna, you know, fix everything. We're gonna drop all this. I know how to control it, and I'm gonna. I don't even know if I don't logically think he's gonna come back. That'd be like a dream, but I don't think he would actually come back because of the whole Boston bomb thing and the way in which that they just sort of kicked him out and had Stu Snyder come in. But I do appreciate everything that he did. I just don't think he'd come back, and I think that Miller should get the time that's just in 7 years to see how she would run it, how she would like go about it, doing things, and that's where I'd like to see. Where I'd like to see the current era sort of run through. Jay Turner asks 2 questions. Well, the first, and of course Carl Bloke, I think you asked a similar question. Should the next president and exclusives of Cartoon Network be taking notes from Nickelodeon? This is a very interesting question because, again, I don't think Nick is doing things all that well. I mean, Nick is also very different from Cartoon Network. Like, when you say take notes from Nick, Cartoon Network has taken notes from Nick. They pushed live action back in 2009 and did that for half a decade. And, you know, people said we don't like live action on Cartoon Network. That's just something that happened. People were like, I don't want to see this. I don't like the idea of it. I'm not going to ever do that. I don't like Cartoon Network having live action. And Nickelodeon, known for having live action. So Cartoon Network can't really pull that. You look at the way that Nickelodeon runs through their cartoons. They have about 3 cartoons that they run. TMNT, SpongeBob, and The Loud House. And Cartoon Network has 4 or 5 shows on a daily basis outside of the weekends when it's Teen Titans Go. So Cartoon Network does more cartoons than Nickelodeon as well. If you're talking about like the reboots, I think Cartoon Network is way better when they're not rebooting. Like, that is where they fail. When Cartoon Network does reboots outside of Samurai Jack, and I think Samurai Jack was an exception. You know, Cartoon Network usually is made for the purpose of making revenue, and Samurai Jack was made out of a passion. I don't see that passion from Ben 10. I don't see the passion from Powerpuff Girls, and I think that them doing reboots, I wouldn't want to see Foster swing back because I don't think that their effort is there. I wouldn't want to see Dexter come back because I don't think the effort is there. I wouldn't want to see a lot of these shows return. I mean, could you even imagine Johnny Bravo return? All the outrage culture that would happen if Johnny Bravo came back? Like, that is a product of its time, and Cartoon Network doesn't work well with going back to their older products. So I think that they should just put it on the shelf, and I like when they do OKKO. I like when they do Regular Show. I like when they do Adventure Time. I like when they do Steven Universe, and they keep pushing forward. That's where Cartoon Network succeeds. That's not where, that's not necessarily where, that's not really where Nickelodeon succeeds all that well. Like, they push SpongeBob because that's a brand that people know. They've pushed Fairly Odd Parents because that was a brand people knew. They don't push the way that Cartoon Network does their newer properties. And of course, you could argue, well, Teen Titans Go, older property, they based it off of. Yes, Cartoon Network is sort of responding to Nick in that way, but they do things in different ways. They approach things differently, and I think that there's a way different style between the two that can't be matched. Like, they can't, I don't think they can utilize each other the same way. I hope that answered your question. Other question, favorite comic book movie? Okay. I came out of Black Panther, and I think that it is the best movie prior to... It's the best movie I've seen since Logan. And I put Logan in the top as well for me. So I love, the Avengers is, one. You have The Winter Soldier was one. Logan, Black Panther, and The Dark Knight. Those 5, I think, are hands down my favorites. I love them. They are awesome. They're cool. And I think that they're sweet. I think that they are great tales. They aren't just average movies. And honestly, if since we're talking about, favorite comic book movie, when I saw The Amazing Spider-Man 2, people really hate on that movie. I think the first 5-10 minutes of that movie is not the part with the plane and the parents. When Spider-Man first comes on screen and he's jumping out and he's doing that epic swinging and then he goes on the truck, I thought that was awesome Spider-Man. That was a really awesome, it just felt cool. that was a cool introduction. I wish that was the way that they introduced, not the plain sequence. But I thought that was such a cool Spider-Man entrance. It is one of my favorite Spider-Man moments in the history of that character. So, you know, I think Andrew Garfield definitely like more cooler than actual Peter Parker, so he couldn't work that out. It's just funny how like they've had three iterations of Spider-Man. So, thanks for the questions. Drivis0101 asks, is it true most modern cartoons have switched to entirely to Flash just save on draw time? Now, I did look at this. Here there are a few cartoons that I've seen that do this. Teen Titans Go does it. BoJack Horseman does it. Gumball does it until unless Gumball like switches out and then they don't do it and then they jump back to it, because that's just an interesting show that does their own art style. But then you have Bob's Burgers, Tough Puppy. Like they're all Flash animated. Like I'm sure it's to save on draw time. I'm sure it's to save on revenue. I'm sure it's a move to cut costs. But I think I remember when Fairly Odd Parents switched, that was like a big moment for me when I was like, they can't do that. That it looked cheaper, it looked worse, it looked like an entirely different show. Like, I mean, there definitely is a quality to hand-drawn, and there are shows that really do work well with Flash, but I think that if you originally started out hand-drawn and then you jump over to Flash, I think that there is a noticeable difference, and it does affect your show. I don't know how long-term that would, how perception would be for that, but I think that, the two can obviously work together. I just don't think that if one jumps over to the other, it helps all that well. Laser Light Superfan asks, is Christina Miller getting fired? Now, this is something I keep hearing over and over again. This is not actually true. I don't know what YouTubers keep saying this. I don't know why they keep saying this. Christina Miller isn't fired. People want her fired, and I don't even think that she should be fired, because I think that if we are listening to the 7-year thing, I don't think that there was, I don't think that there was a reason really to kill her runtime, because Snyder had a messy first few years too. You can't just like kill them off because the beginning sucked. Like, I think that there should be time to see how they adapt. I think that the Teen Titans Go issue is a problem, but I think that there also is the fact that you have declining ratings, and kids, let's face it, I mean, not all kids, some of you have told me in the comments, we don't like Teen Titans Go, but a lot of kids do like Teen Titans Go, and they'll watch Teen Titans Go more than anything else, and that's the problem, is that more kids like Teen Titans Go than they like anything else. And so Cartoon Network's sitting there like, well, what should we do? And they will play Teen Titans Go. I don't like that, but that's what they go. That's the direction. That's the style. That's the form. And until like the other shows get those ratings at the high, until those shows get until other shows get the ratings that a Teen Titans Go does, and we are seeing that. We are seeing that. The unfortunate thing is that it's Unikitty that's also getting those ratings. I like Unikitty, but it's an acquired show so you have those things where it's like there's more acquired airtime than there is for other actual original cartoons, because less kids are interested in originals than they are on Unikitty and Teen Titans Go, which stinks. But interestingly enough, by the way, like everyone thinks that Miller, everyone thinks that she will end her run in 7 years, and I used to think that too. But then if you look at it, if you research it, you really look at it tough, and you really take some good research in it. Betty Cohen, the first president, left on her own accord because she didn't want to be the queen of cartoons, right? That was her choice. Jim Samples left after the bomb scare, which was 6 years of leadership. He left forcibly. Stu Snyder left forcibly because of tensions. There's no reason that she needs to necessarily leave in 7 or 9 or 13 years. I don't know where they're going to go with that. I don't know if there is a reason that she'd leave. Babs DeMarco asks, if you could greenlight any failed pilot, which one would it be? And Swim Team 75 asks a similar question. What failed shows do you think had a chance? I really do appreciate that 12 Forever got greenlit, because I was worried that was going to fall off the edge and never get greenlit. I love the fact that it's so creative, that it's so original. It reminds me of Chalk Zone, and it has that freedom to it. I love that creativity, and I wish there were more shows like that. Uh, I like when someone's in their imagination. I like when there's a character that's in their imagination so well, and I do appreciate that, and I do like that. Um, I was worried though, but yeah, that one got greenlit. There's Scott Pilgrim versus like the animation, I think is what it's called. I don't know why that didn't get greenlit. I mean, that was a show that I'm sure would have been great on like Adult Swim or something. Uh, you have, I think, uh, the modifiers, and obviously this is like I mean that. So I will change this list and it will grow over time, but I might make a video on it. Failed pilots that I wish came to life, but um, I am disappointed that a lot of things just don't come the way that they should, don't get the green light that they should, and then they just get left in. They get bought out, they get pitched, they get owned by the network, and then they never get touched. That's what I hate. But I hope that some of them do get greenlit. I hope that we have more and more that do get accepted. But the problem is that once they're out there and then they're not accepted, then you're competing for every other show that's being pitched to. So, Cunt Sniffer asks, "What do you know of Taylor McNamara? It's animation related because he has a very unique way of seeing animation. After watching one of his webinars, sounds like a creative director and inspiring animator." I looked him up. I still don't know too much about him, but I like his passion. I like where his head's at. I like where he's moving. So, I think that's always awesome that when someone has a drive, has a direction, and knows where they're gonna head. But yeah, it's cool and stuff. Yeah. Ozzy All asks, which cartoon TV show that deserves to get a movie? I think like any cartoon that can expand on their characters, any cartoon that can expand on setting, characters, direction, can blow off this world, can go further. I really would like to go and see something like that. Like, I love that regular show, the movie, like, delved into Mordecai and Rigby's friendship. The same with, like, the Rugrats movie. They did, like, the two brothers, like, a bond grew with those two. Then you have, like, Jimmy Neutron, which, that just launched the show. I don't know why Adventure Time hasn't gotten a movie yet. I'm surprised that the Brian Stewie focus hasn't spawned a movie. We see a lot of specials from Family Guy, but that Brian Stewie relationship is one that I really do think is cool, and I would love to see a full-on movie of. Instead of A Million Ways to Die in the West, that would have been great. Don't know what McFarlane did, but, whatever. Sleepless Gamer asks, thoughts on an Animaniacs reboot? To be honest, like, I grew up on other things, and I didn't even know about Animaniacs until, like, my teenage years. I did not watch any Animaniacs, and I need to watch more to understand the series. I mean, I've seen that very popular World, the country count, the video that the Animaniacs did, where he goes through every single country. I do like that. I think that that's awesome, and I think that it is a product of its time. But I think that we need something like that. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see it to return, but I'd love to see what it actually is about before I put my stamp on it. So, not too many thoughts. I'm excited to see the series, though, but not too many thoughts. Ultimate Sky Avenger asks, are you excited for the premiere of Apple and Onion? I'm excited for the fact that it's the next Cartoon Network original series. They remind me of Mordecai and Rigby, right? Like, they remind me of that friendship, that bond. I have not gotten interested in it at all. It's not one of my things where I've liked it at any bit. It's not something that I'm really gonna dig into a long term, and that's just because I'm not interested in that style show anymore. Even though, like, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, I was very interested in regular show. That's just the way that I've developed over time. So it's going to be a great show, I'm sure. It has that dynamic. It could be a great, Mordecai and Rigby replacement, if you will. I just don't find myself saying, oh yeah, let me really tune into this show. But that doesn't mean it's bad. That just means that I'm not interested in it. Louis Murillo asked a ton of questions. I mean, yeah. Wait. Oh, he asked. Wait. No. He asked a ton of questions. Oh my gosh. Let me just run through them real quick. What TV channels do you still watch? None. I'm on YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and I'll watch any TV content usually on demand, or I'll watch it on my computer. Yeah. The new FLCL sneak peek will premiere on Friday, April 6, 2018 on C2E2 2018. Thoughts? I think it's great that it's returning. The more eyes that know about it, the better, and it's cool. So yeah, very excited. Adult Swim is producing a miniseries based on Scavenger's pilot for Toonami. I clicked the link that you sent me. I still don't really have too much knowledge about it. I'll have more thoughts on it once there's actually like a clip, once there's actually like a video, a more detailed look at it. But for now, I will wait for that. What are your thoughts on Naruto Shippuden being the longest foreign animated series to ever air on Adult Swim? You know what? I think that, to be honest, if Toonami hadn't ended in 2008, we would have already crossed this line. I think we already have crossed the line. I just think that, I think that it's cool. Like, Naruto Shippuden is. I mean, I don't have too many thoughts on Naruto really. I mean, I got into the first season, but I didn't. Again, I haven't dug into it all that much. So, yeah, hands up to Naruto. Toonami, let's see. Considering Dragon Ball Super will conclude in spring of 2019 on Adult Swim, what show do you think will start off Toonami when it concludes? One that really is popular, one that'll get the attention, one that'll keep people pushing, one that will forward the network itself and won't cause the block to start to decline in viewership. Dragon Ball has done something that that other shows haven't, and that is kept people on the pulse of Toonami. And I think that is what we need for the future of that block, because it's up against the wall right now. I think that it needs to keep on pushing. It's up against the wall with all the streaming services that have anime. So, instant access, you could be anywhere at any time. Toonami's stuck on Saturdays. So, yeah. Jude Robson asks, what's your favorite cartoon of all time, and what is your least favorite? To be honest, like, I don't have a favorite. Like, I'd say, like, you have Regular Show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, definitely. I love Gumball. I love Chalk Zone's creativity. Kids Next Door is just cool how serious they are. Grim Adventures, Rocko's Modern Life. Those are my favorites. They all revolve, so I don't have a particular favorite. They're just all around in a certain sort of form of favoritism. My least favorite, off the top of my head, Super Noobs and Bunsen's the Beast. And here's why. Super Noobs is the Johnny Test creator could have done so much better. Like, dude, you made Johnny Test, and it was like, come on. Everyone thought, okay, brainless, he could have done better, and you come out and you make something even worse. How is that possible? Like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And then you have, you have Bunsen, which is made by Butch Hartman, and I do think that, everyone talks about Butch Hartman, and I think there's a question further down about it, but, I think Butch Hartman, I love his work, but I think that the last few years of Fairly Odd Parents and Bunsen's the Beast was not that great. I think that, if we're going to be honest here, like, Danny Phantom, great. Tough Puppy, awesome. Fairly Odd Parents beginning through middle, cool. But the last few years were not. So, I think that Bunsen was a disappointment to me. It was just an elementary version of Fairly Odd Parents, a very elementary version. And it could have been better. And the last question looks like from Louis Murillo. Considering Toonami has plans to still air on until 2021, do you have any personal desires you wish you could fulfill in that time frame? I wish it could still be like that, like, big upper tier name that it once was. Like, there's an issue where, again, it's up against the wall. It has Crunchyroll, Funimation now, even Netflix and Hulu, and they're all pushing that anime move. They're all going in that direction. They're all centralizing on anime, and then you have Toonami, who is stuck to Saturdays. I think that there should be more time. I mean, if Cartoon Network is struggling ratings wise, come back and make Toonami that Saturday block. Push them back on Saturdays. Do something in the afternoon. Get them interested. Get people interested, and then we would see something a little more fun, a little more cool. And I'd love to find out how they how they'd go from there. Chao Jia Cheng. Again, I'm sorry if I get these names wrong, pronunciating wise. Try my best. How do you handle criticism handled toward you or anyone? You know, that's I love this question. I like this question a lot. I love debating. So like, if someone says something like negative, I did something negative, right? Like, I'll respond with, why I did what I did, and then I'll see what their response is back, and we'll debate back and forth. If it's positive criticism, like, I'll take that into consideration. Even like negative, you take it into consideration. But I think like, what you really want to do is you want to take that criticism, break it down to like, it's bare like elements, like, if it was like a little box or whatever, or like whatever, like in AllSpark or something, like, and if at its core it's like, if you can like learn something from it, then take it and move forward with it. But like, if there's a way to like, if it's a take forward move, take it and move forward with it. But like, if there's not, then just move forward and say, okay, man, whatever. I hope that stuttering answer helped explained. But yeah. Salem Peterson asks, what do you think of the new shows coming up to Cartoon Network? I like that Cartoon Network is still pushing these shows. That's one of the biggest things I'm surprised about, is that Cartoon Network, even with these ratings declines, is still pushing out these shows, still going forward, still going farther. And I like this. I do. I appreciate that Cartoon Network is just pushing forward, constantly moving, and not slowing down. It seems like there's always going to be this show or set of shows that keep on moving. So yeah, I'm very fascinated to see, like, where they go, what they do, how they're going to interact with these ratings, how they're going to eventually, hopefully, get a streaming service to make sure that these shows continue. And that's about it, though. I just appreciate that they're going to keep on going, and I'm just hoping that most of these shows catch on and get popular and find the popularity, and yeah. And I'm like under the weather a little bit, guys. I don't know what it is. Stealing Chip Thursday asks, do you prefer Camp Lazlo or Cat Scratch, since they premiered on the same day in 2005? I did not know that. And I thought, that was an era when Cartoon Network and Nick really were true competitors. Like, they'd go up against each other with animation, and I thought that was great. Nicktoons were just as big of names as Cartoon Network originals, and it was great. I appreciated that I grew up in that generation where there was competition, and both of them were really good quality, and I love that. But I would have to say, like, Cat Scratch. I don't have a reason. I love both of them. It was like, it was one of those last few Nicktoons that were like the Nicktoons name, that weren't jokes, that weren't pathetic. So Cat Scratch. Bink12 asks, will you give me your channel? I can't do that, dude, but ask again. Well, I still would say no, but I don't think I could do that. Jaden532 Preto asks, cat or dog? And I am a cat person. I don't have one, but I wish that I did. Yep, I'm a cat person. JetBlast1 asks, what is your opinion on modern Cartoon Network acquired shows? I think that, Cartoon Network acquired shows were counteractive toward, like, they would counteract original shows, and they'd be a balance. Now they're not really. Now it's way more like acquired shows like Unikitty, like Teen Titans Go, and we still have Gumball, we still have We Bare Bears, but it's weird that we only have 4 or 5, and half of them or 3 of them are acquired, and the other 2 are original cartoons, and that's it. There isn't really a great diversity. It's just like 4 or 5, better than 1 or 2. I mean, that Teen Titans Go in 2017 was awful. Hey, thanks for the question. Frederick Cotton, do you think Cartoon Network will ever be what it was from the 90s to the early 2000s before Christina Miller? No. That's not Miller's fault either. That's just like the Snyder era was such a big shift in the way that Cartoon Network just went about things that I don't think that there will ever be a time when we have that diversity of schedule, that we have that style, that we have that formula. And I do love what the original cartoons are now, but I just don't think that we will have that originality. And I think that it's only going to get worse as Adventure Time, as Steven Universe, as regular show have exited. I think that, it's going to be hard to find more icons for Cartoon Network to continue to find momentum. But, yeah, I don't think that it'll be the same. And I think that it was a great moment, but I don't think it will come back. Keep Kandakar says, should Time Warner cancel Boomerang and make a Cartoon Network streaming service with all of Hanna-Barbera, WB, CN, and Turner Cartoons? I mean, I've been saying this since like 2016. Yeah, like, how long are they going to keep on pushing cable? Because it's just at the point where you're pushing this so long. It's agitatingly boring. It's agitatingly annoying. It's like, come on, guys. Let's move forward here. Let's go. It's 2018. Let's make a new streaming service. It's about time. Yeah. Mike Kaiser asks, should Cartoon Network make a movie with all the cartoon characters from shows dating back from the 90s to this day, crossovering into a movie special like the Cartoon All-Stars movie without any lesson to be learned? Just a crossover that has a story about the past meeting the present shows about dimensions being collided to each other by a villain. I like that, because, like, to be honest, like, you don't even need a villain, because, like, the worlds colliding in themselves is the conflict. You have, like, Grimm, like, facing off against, like, the devil in regular show. You have, like, these characters that could interact well. That was the interesting thing about, like, you take, for instance, like, Powerpuff Girls and Teen Titans Go, right? Like, that crossover, like, that was the interesting thing, where it's like those two really, that was such a bad crossover, but, like, their dynamics were so different. And I think that you look at this potential of a crossover, I'd love to see it. It'd be great. That's a great great, awesome thing. It would be a big animation project. It would be a big casting project, and it would be a big just writing project, because each and every character would have to have their own time. It would take a lot of time. You have dozens upon dozens of characters to work with, and they'd all have to get their equal share. I would love that, man. I would love that. That sounds fun. Just big undertaking. Thomas Lopez asks, will you cover Nicktoons Three-Headed Monster and G4's Action Blast on Attack the Block? I didn't even know about Action Blast, because, like, I try to find out as many blocks as possible that are animated. I always want to know about more. I'm glad that you told me about it, because now I have an extra one to work with. But yeah, that's the fun about Attack the Block. It's just like I want to go into more. I love to find out more, and I'd love to develop more with these blocks, just to research, to find more about just the eras, the time periods, the styles that they went with, the bumpers, everything. It's all fascinating. So yeah, G4 Action Blast, I mean, probably. It takes research, and I'm interested. So yeah. Jake take Meloked. Sorry, man. What do you think about Cartoon Network schedule? Better, but it's nowhere close to the 2000s. I think that it's better that the Teen Titans Go isn't all over the place, but I do think that the fact that Teen Titans Go is still controlling the weekends, like it's still all over the place when you look at Saturday and Sunday. It's better that it's not during weekdays, but I'd like to see weekends get a much more viable share of airtime than what we have now. It's Cartoon Network. More than one cartoon should be on Cartoon Network. Scruffy Truck 104 asks, which channel do you think was better in the 90s, Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon? They're really both different. Like, Nick was ahead of Cartoon Network in the early 90s. Well, no. They were both really in a similar format. Like, Nick jumped off really earlier than Cartoon Network when you look at the amount of shows in the early 90s that they produced. But then you look at Cartoon Network and it's like, yeah, they had the backlog of Hanna-Barbera, of WB cartoons. They were out there. They had their own originals, not many, but they had a few. So Nick, I think, was ahead of the curve when you look at original cartoons. But when you look at the backlog, you look at Nickelodeon. You jump over to like the late 90s. That's where I think Cartoon Network really jumps ahead of Nickelodeon, though I do appreciate all the cartoons that came out from Nickelodeon in the late 90s. I would give it to Nickelodeon because they had more to sort of deal with. Cartoon Network had more to work with. I don't know, like, maybe I would say, I don't know, that's a good question. Plus you had Toonami in the late 90s, so, you know, I give it to Cartoon Network. I mean, you have all the originals. I do appreciate, like, Rocko, Rugrats, SpongeBob, but I do also appreciate Toonami and Dexter and Powerpuff Girls and Cow and Chicken and Johnny Bravo. But yeah, if that was a close race, again, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, great rivalry, both going about it in different ways, and that's what I loved about it. Cartoons All Day asks, when AT&T merges with Time Warner, do you think AT&T will see Cartoon Network isn't doing well with their ratings and change the management for Cartoon Network? That's the one condition where I think management might change, because, you know, it's usually outside forces. So it's like Snyder left because of outside forces, Samples left because of outside forces, possibly, but I don't think so. Like, I think that's the one where it's like, okay, like, you have AT&T, big company, like, all right, let's restructure. That's a possibility. That's a solid possibility. I don't think that that's a direction that they go in. Just saying. But if you look at, like, the brand itself, it's making revenue. Like, the brand, you have the games, the merchandise, it's making revenue. It's the channel that's dying. It's the channel that needs to make a streaming service so they can jump in and get out of the red and go into black. I'd like to see that more than the channel dying. So that's what I think AT&T will do. I hope that they fast track that. Buzz Charter and Adventurous Adventurer Augustus asks a similar question. Do you think CNN is going to die? And I'll say, only if they hesitate. Like, the third place, right? Like, they're last in cable when you look at Nick and Disney. They are declining in ratings, and I think that if they don't jump over, they'll be a little late. And I think they have a large library they can use to really keep, like, all you need to do is make a subscription service and then say, all right, we have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of cartoons that you'll be comforted with, and have all the episodes, have all the movies in there, backlogged in, and it will be set. And then, you know, that's all they need to do. But if they don't, then the cable channel will continue to die. I do think, like, inevitably the cable channel will have issues by at least the 2030s, just in terms of ratings, if it goes the way that we keep seeing it go, the cable landscape in general. Brittany Only, I'm sorry, I do not understand your question. And the next dude asks, are you dead? Only on the inside. M. Douglas asks, do you ever fix those audio levels? You ever gonna fix those audio levels in your videos? Nah, I'm playing. The real question is, what do you think a new animation channel could do in this age? Well, I think a new animation channel should not be on cable, not even on the regular channels of NBC, ABC, CBS, like Fox, none of those. No, get out of there, don't even jump in. They should invest, you know, in streaming services. They should invest in Netflix and Hulu and YouTube. They should invest in places that are flourishing, not in places that are dying out. And I don't think that there's going to be a rebound of cable, because cable has advertising, and people don't like advertising, and the on-demand is streaming. So look at streaming. It's growing. It's fantastic, and I think that maybe they should just be an animation hub for streaming services. I think that's where they should go. Jonathan Marks asks, "Do you think WB will do something with Hanna-Barbera besides Scooby-Doo?" That what stinks about like the issue is like, if you can imagine, it's like these older cartoons are like great currency, like a great dollar currency that's amazing. It's worth a lot, and it was worth a lot like 30 years ago. Very great currency, very high value, and then every single year that they haven't done anything with it, it's just dropped significantly every single year. And so we keep seeing this over and over and over again. It's just dropping more and more in value, and they're not doing anything with it. So I don't know if there's even risk. I mean, I think there's more risk than worth in even making this. Like, remember the Wacky Races reboot? Like, is there any interest in a Wacky Races reboot at this point? Like, couldn't you just re-air the old one? That's the issue, and that's the problem. I mean, we're already seeing that with something like Ben 10, where it's like, what's the point of that? You guys are just doing it for toy sales. You might as well just air the old one, and then you could just release the same toys or release new toys. But that currency is just dropping. Those old cartoons are dropping in value more and more every single year because kids are more interested in Minions. Kids are more interested in the new stuff than they are the outdated stuff that isn't getting mentioned anymore. And of course, the older generation is also getting older and losing interest in those cartoons as well. That's what happened with Boomerang. That currency, that interest, that value in old cartoons was so lost by the mid-2000s that there was no reason to air a cartoon channel based with throwback cartoons. Solomon Aiken asks, can you put Tough Puppy or Mighty B? I don't understand your question, but I do enjoy both. I see a lot of people that hate Mighty B, but I actually enjoy it. I think it's a cool show. I think Mighty B, though I think that she's an annoying character, but I don't really mind her, not the most annoying character in all of animation. So yeah, I think it's a fun show. Jonathan Marks asks, "What's your opinion on Dexter's Lab?" I think that it is one of Cartoon Network's like most creative cartoons, one of the most like imaginative cartoons, one of the coolest cartoons, one of their best originals, and they should not reboot it. What is your favorite band? Mine is Kiss. I've been getting into Springsteen lately, so there's the E Street Band. I'm predicting and guessing that you are I'm guessing you want me to be more rock based than any other art, so I'm gonna go ahead and say like U2, My Chemical Romance, Fun, Foster the People, Linkin Park. Like I love those bands. I listen to all their stuff all the time. It's awesome, and yeah. I have no particular favorite. They just all sort of interlace, but yeah. Oman Carbachal asks, "What is a Nintendo?" It's 1% evil and 99% hot gas. Scott Venture asks, "What are your thoughts on the current Toonami schedule?" I don't really have a dog in the race because I don't really watch Toonami all that much. I don't think that it's all that bad. I think that ratings-wise, from what I've seen, because I looked at the schedules so far, they're pretty good. They're pretty diverse. Unlike Cartoon Network, they constantly keep a diverse lineup. It's not one show throughout the entire night. It is a diversity, and I do appreciate that. And I think they should just keep going with that. I think that that's where Toonami wins, because there's too many other situations where you have cartoons where there's too many other situations where you could just jump over to Crunchyroll. Too many situations where you could jump over to Funimation. Too many situations where you could jump over to other things. So, yeah, it's a very fascinating direction. But yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I lost my place for some reason. what do you think by the 2020s cable TV will die as viewership on TV has been falling lately? Also, what do you think of Crunchyroll competing with Toonami? Here's the thing, right? The 2020s will, like I said before, I think the 2020s will be an interesting time for secondary channels because I think they're already irrelevant. I think that that's when they die. That's when they really lose it. That's when they really start to decline. But these original channels, like, I think that they're fine. I think that they're gonna last for a while. But when you look at Toonami and Crunchyroll, like, I think that that's great competition. Toonami, though, is up against the wall. Like, they can't change all that well because they're stuck in a block. And they could go to Saturdays, they could go to something else, but they're stuck in advertising every 15 minutes. They're stuck to the same old thing. While on Crunchyroll, on Funimation, on Hulu, on Netflix, on YouTube, you can watch it and just keep watching and not have any issues. That's the issue. That's the mix-up that we have. Yeah. Tyreek Tunes asks, thoughts on Unikitty? I wanted to wait and make this review. I haven't yet. I don't mind that it's a high energy show. I don't mind its style. I know what their target audience is. I don't think that it's as stupid as Teen Titans Go, but I would put it in, like, the same rating as Teen Titans Go. Like, for instance, if I were to do, like, a 5 out of 5 scale, like, I'd put Avatar: The Last Airbender as a 5 out of 5, Super Noobs as 1 out of 5, right? And then, like, I'd put that and Teen Titans Go in 3 out of 5. They're right in the middle of the range. They're okay. They're cool. They're not bad. They're just okay. Friendly Floopy asks, are you excited for Young Justice Outsiders? And do you think we'll ever see Teen Titans Season 6? You know, I think Teen Titans Season 6 is right around the corner. I think that they are just waiting for that age group to age up. Teen Titans Go, I think, was just made purposefully to get people interested in Teen Titans again. And I think that once this age demographic comes up, I think that then we will see not only... I think this is the great return of Teen Titans, is that there'll be two demographics that will remember it, the 18 to 40 demographic and the, I think it's the 8 to, or 10 to 18, whatever the demographic is, where they've aged up and they want to see this action cartoon stuff. And I think that this is the time, 2019, 2020, I think we're going to see it. And I predicted that, like, years ago, and I hope that they actually do it. But I believe that this is the time that they will bring it back. You look at then Teen Titans Go, and I think that that's going to wrap up. You know, you look at WB, you look at Young Justice Outsiders. I think that, you know, I'm glad that it's back. The way that it closed off, I think it's embarrassing for Cartoon Network. I think that it is disgusting. I think that it is embarrassing, and I think that, you know, we'll see what happens. But Teen Titans Go, Jesus, I'm going back to Teen Titans Go. Young Justice Outsiders, I want to see it come back. It deserves to come back. It deserves to come back, and I'd like to see more of it. Stefan the Crafter asks, if you had an idea for Cartoon Network, Nick, or Disney, what would it be about? You know what? I'd probably do something like a sci-fi futuristic slice of life, sort of dystopian cartoon, down to earth, nothing. I don't know. Like, that's just on my mind at the moment. But, you know, yeah, animated, obviously. The Political Kid asks, what do you think of Butch Hartman leaving Nickelodeon? Gaming Chris asks, what do you feel about Butch Hartman leaving Nick, thus Bunsen's the Beast, and possibly Fairly Odd Parents ending? I'm working on a video I'm working on a video that is answering your question directly, but, like I said earlier, I do love his line of work. I do love Danny Phantom. I do love Fairly Odd Parents. I love the decade and a half of time that he's put into Nickelodeon, that he's put into himself, that he's put into animation. I just think that his last few years were not all that great. I think that, you know, you look at Bunsen's Beast, you look at the last few years of Fairly Odd Parents, and I think that there definitely is a quality issue with those when you compare them. And I just was getting agitated and disappointed in the fact that, you know, this wasn't a show that had the top quality that once was known for. You know, Fairly Odd Parents not having the quality that it used to have is disappointing. I think that there should be more quality there. So, yeah. I also see a lot of questions saying, is he going to answer our questions? Like I said, for the 80th time, I'm going through the list that I submitted in on Monday, and then I will follow up with you guys. You guys can leave, but I again will answer your questions after I get through the questions that were already asked, that people already submitted on Monday through Thursday. So, you know, it's a wait in line sort of situation. I will get to you guys. Stay tuned. All right. Beatard62 asks, what's your favorite thing to do? I'd say writing, drawing, and driving. No particular order, but I do love all three of those. Digner 5 Days GSA asks, what's your favorite video game? Made a list already. By console, here's what I say. PS1, NASCAR Rumble. N64, Rogue Squadron. PS2, Ace Combat 5, Battlefront 1 through 2, Hot Pursuit 2. PSP, Daxter. Nintendo DS, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or Mario Kart DS. PS3, Modern Warfare 3 or Grid 2. 3DS, Mario Kart 7. Wii U, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. And PS4, I'd say Drive Club. That is a gorgeous game. I love Drive Club, man. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I love that. It is just a bare bones racer, time trial sort of thing. I love it. I appreciate it. I love that it didn't have anything extra. And I do love that. Chocolate Fizzles asks, what was the most memorable cartoon moment for you? Off the top of my head, I'd say the regular show premiere. Not the finale, but the premiere. Because I was hugely excited for it. I remember the countdown. I remember the hype for it. It was huge. Just waiting in my house to see it air was awesome. And then I'd put in watching Battle Dimension Pokemon. Like, that was a show that used to air in the mornings, if you guys remember, on Cartoon Network. And I would watch it every time before school. I'd have my cereal. I'd be excited. And yeah. But I think the biggest one is probably the end of Channel Chasers. You know, Timmy's like a parent, and his kids have a Vicky, you know, and they will obviously have their own Fairly Odd Parents, but like it was satisfying but sad. But you know it to be true that adults will forget about their Fairly Odd Parents, that you will grow out of your Fairly Odd Parents. That it was such a great finale, and I did appreciate that, and I did love that, and I thought that it was such a great ending that it is still one of the most, I think, touching moments of Nickelodeon history. And it's just a truthful thing. It's just like a almost down-to-earth thing. Like, yeah, all that magical time that you had as a kid, you're going to get more responsibilities. It's going to be different. It's going to be a completely different style. And I remember being a kid and knowing, like, adulthood, just looking so far into the distance. It looked like it was so far away. So, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to type this on here. I will answer your questions, but I am at the moment answering those who submitted theirs on Monday through Thursday. Patience. Okay. Cool. Back to the last few. There's only like 3 more, by the way. So, I mean, all of you guys that are in such a hurry to get your questions answered, you know, patience. Siri, Cool Boy 2000s asks, do you love me? You know, it was Valentine's Day a couple days ago, so we can make something happen. Colbert Awesome asks, what was your favorite Cartoon Network block back in the days? Here's the thing, like, I remember Fridays, I remember Flicks, Hard Thursdays, probably Fridays, though, as my favorite, and I do appreciate the Cartoon Planet run from 2012 to 2014. You know, Christopher Hernandez, as the final question from the original submission, asks, do you think they should bring back old cartoons like Kids Next Door? I don't think so. Because, number one, it would tank the channel's ratings. Like, demographically, the 18 to 40 or 18 to 35 demographic just does not statistically watch old cartoons. They do not tune in whenever it is aired. So I think that's why we have Teen Titans Go on so often, and that's why we have what kids, whatever the demographic is watching, they will obviously tune in and watch. But yeah, I think that, you know, Kids Next Door had a great run, and I think that it is just out there. Like I said, with the currency thing, with the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, there is just an age of currency where it just dips in and declines over time. So yeah. All right, I will answer all of your questions in the comments now. Since everyone was in such a hurry, that was it. That was all the questions from the Thursday submission. It did take a little while, but I'm glad that it's over with. I'm glad that, you know, like, you guys asked a lot of questions. I'm thankful that you guys asked a lot of questions. That was a lot of fun, and that was really cool. So, yeah, it was a good time. Thanks for your questions, guys. All right, let's start. And, yeah. Tim5FL asks, what are your thoughts on Kalobi Productions? Let me search this for a second and see what it is. Kalobi Productions. Oh, a YouTuber. Okay, I have not checked out his channel before, but I guess I will. So yeah, Kalobi Productions. I will check out his content. Thanks for letting me know. Dave Meltzer says, as a writer, I think your channel is awesome, and I write horror and action. Thanks. Question mark? Okay, cool. Ben Freeman asks, what is your most hyped movie for this year? I would say, I'd say Incredibles 2 at the moment. I am curious about Spider-Man Homecoming, or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I also am excited for Avengers. So, you know, there are 3 of them. They are all very awesome. I am very excited, and they are all very cool. So, you know, yeah. 424 Carter Daniels asks, well, will you do a 10th anniversary video for Mighty B like you did for LT Gray? I think it was Wednesday. I just compiled, or no, yeah, Wednesday I compiled a list of all the cartoons that are turning 10, 20, 30, by 5s, all the years that all these cartoons and movies, animated movies, are turning 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 and whatever. So yeah, I'm going to do a video for that. It just needs to obviously slide into that time frame, and then I'll do a video for it. What do you think about Disney buying Fox? I think that it is positive and negative. I think Disney does things that are a little safe instead of risky, like Logan, for instance, and Deadpool. Disney probably would have never done. Animation-wise, I'm worried about Blue Sky, because Blue Sky, I think, will get either killed or make less of the content that they do. I think Blue Sky is cool. I mean, they make Ice Age, they're okay. They made the Peanuts movie, I think that was great. But Disney is such an animation powerhouse, I don't know where it would land. Obviously, it would expand their lineup, their amount of animation they have. They would have, I think, Family Guy, and they would have Simpsons, and they'd have that. That's going to be fascinating. I really would never have thought, you know, Simpsons owned by Disney. That's just a weird thought process to put your head around. But, I mean, everyone talks about the Marvel stuff. Everyone talks about the Star Wars stuff. These are billion-dollar companies with the biggest merchandising products in the world. I think that's the bigger question. What are they going to do since they have all the billions of dollars in the world? That's just insane. So, yeah. Recno64, hello from a snowy Western Washington. Man, we got some snow here in Maryland a couple days ago. It's a lot later, so hope you can survive through that snow. Cartoons all day. When AT&T merges with Turner, what do you think will happen with the management and Cartoon Network? I think I answered your question, but nothing really unless AT&T does something. So, yeah. Cooler Man asks, Cartoon Network doesn't even ask, just Cartoon Network must go extinct. I don't think so. Only if they are I don't think they stay in a place of hesitation. Like, I mean, you look at like I mean, you look at all the places that, what if the millions of things that Google has killed, right? Like that is a very, very, very disappointing thing to see. But you have to either adapt or die, and that's what Cartoon Network has to do. That's their situation. Tsunami13 asks, "Are you gay?" No. Recno64 asks, says, "Spirited Away is my fave." Yeah, I love Spirited Away, man. That was my childhood Ghibli movie. I would watch that dozens upon dozens of times, and I still would watch it dozens upon dozens of times. It's awesome. Dave Meltzer, do you think Christine Miller should be fired from Cartoon Network? No. Because, again, I think she's okay. Because I think, as Snyder did, he did some errors in the beginning. I think that we should give her that fair time, even though it has really damaged the brand. So did Snyder in the beginning of his run. So, I mean, it would be hypocritical to say let's kill her. I think she is, I think, like I said in my video back in 2017, there's a problem that she is making this channel more irrelevant, but I think that we should see what she does in the long term as well. Tim5L5FL says, Brian, how do you feel that I think you should replace Christina Milioti? I do not know enough to run a probably hundreds of $1 million business. I would need to know a lot more, you know. I always say, like, okay, like, you could schedule this here and this here, but I do not know the ins and outs. So while I do appreciate that, I don't think that I would be the greatest president, because I don't have that grand management knowledge, and I think that I would need to know more. Revolution Zone 316 Resurrection asks, do you watch Toonami? Not as much as I used to. No, actually. I'll watch anime, but I really don't tune into Toonami all that much. The last time I watched Toonami was I think it was just because I ended up watching Samurai Jack. I just stayed on watching Toonami. So, yeah. The Gaming Raccoon asks, do you think Cartoon Network should shut down in the future if ratings fail? No, I don't think that Cartoon Network should shut down if the future if ratings fail. I think that, well, I mean, they would have to, but I think that they should adapt before ratings fail. That's the issue. They need to adapt because the ratings are already dropping. I think that they need to do something like a streaming service and then jump forward from there. But, yeah. Kali Reviews says, hello. Hello. Tim5FL, if you were to shut down Cartoon Network's American channels and replace them with a worldwide streaming service, would you do it, and why? I wouldn't destroy them at the moment because they still bring in advertising revenue. That's the thing. Like, everyone, you have to remember, there still is a lot of advertising revenue in Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network because they do reach out to kids. They do automatically give you that one-way service to the audience. And obviously you'd be missing out on probably billions of dollars of possibility there. So I don't think you wouldn't want to do that until there really is a limited run of content until the advertising revenue is super low. You wouldn't want to do that. But I would want to get a streaming service. If Turner were to shut down Cartoon Network, what do you think would happen with animation? I would say, in that hypothetical situation, it would jump over to Hulu or Netflix or another company. I think that, you know, like, there is an issue where you just, this is one of the possibilities I see Cartoon Network having if they don't adapt in time. Just becoming a slave to Netflix or Hulu, like, not being the Cartoon Network, but just being a studio that produces stuff, just like DreamWorks, where they are a product of making content for a particular business, not being the business that launches and releases content and has third party come in and, you know, land on themselves. They are the third party. That's going to be the weird situation if they don't adapt. Lovely Ashy Love Me says, what's your opinion on Cartoon Network now? I think that it's not big enough. I think they need to do more, and I think that they need to expand. Are you saying like the Cartoon Network like now, like the app that they have, or the app wise? I think that they need to do more. Like they need to put everything. That needs to be a massive undertaking of having every single Cartoon Network cartoon on there. Then we'll be set. Then we'll be good. It's not big enough. That's the problem. But if you look at Cartoon Network, like the channel, I think they're doing the best that they can. They're utilizing the brands that make the most revenue, that makes the most advertising revenue for them. And if Teen Titans Go makes the most advertising revenue for them, then they're gonna air that. That's the problem. No one watches the other shows all that much. So you look at that versus other shows, and it's like, what's gonna bring in ratings? Teen Titans Go and Unikitty, and that's the problem, and that's what's gonna keep on going. That's the endless cycle that we keep seeing. So, yeah. Omega 228B, or is that 2288? I can't tell. Asks, I need to go back and watch it again. Oh, the Spirit. Okay, Spirit. Okay, that was a comment. My fault. What's your favorite era of Cartoon Network? I think that I probably would say, I like the Samples era. I think that was just like, I love the Samples era, and I do like what Cohen did toward the end of her run, where it was just like, it was a powerhouse. It was a powerhouse of everything, and I appreciate that. I would put them both equally, and the thing that I like about it is that I feel like both of them really interacted well with each other in terms of sharing the content in a way that, like, when Samples took over, it didn't feel like it was a brand shift. It just felt like, all right, let's expand on what makes us great, and that's what he did. Ben Freeman says, what do you think of modern day Disney Channel? It's awful. It is pathetic. I saw this clip of this show or movie called Zombies. It looked pathetic. I mean, they literally just sprayed someone's, they dyed someone's hair. What is the budget? $10? They dyed people's hair, and that's what makes a zombie? Like, I don't know. I think Disney Channel is the biggest wasted opportunity, and if they're wondering why the ratings are falling, that's why. They don't put effort in. They don't say, all right, let's make an Indiana Jones kid-focused show where you have live action and the CGI looks good, and it's actually like a Disney product. That's the problem. Obviously, there should be more animation, but I think that they should drop the girl-focused thing and try to make it unisex more, and just go about it like, all right, Disney XD is dying. We need to go ahead and move some of these cartoons over, and now is the time that Disney needs to really get people focused on Disney Channel, unless they want both of them to die. Super CC says hi. Can you talk, Metal Sonic 1993 says, can you talk about a lost Saturday morning cartoon called Itsy Bitsy Spider? I don't know anything about that, really. Itsy Bitsy Spider, is that 3D show? Is that that 3D cartoon series? Oh, I haven't seen this show yet. I'd have to watch it to get more detail. But, looks interesting. Dave Meltzer says, Gravity Falls graphic novel is coming. I want it. Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, like, it looks, I would be interested in a Gravity Falls graphic novel as well. It sounds like a lot of fun. Cartoons All Day asks, is it good for Fox to merge with Comcast? Either way, it's gonna suck. I mean, I don't have any dog in the fight. I said that I wanted it to be with Comcast, but the other side says that Comcast would run some products to the ground, and I don't know if I want Simpsons with Comcast. I don't know if I want, you know, it's like, you know that Comcast is literally changing the Philadelphia skyline by themselves. Like, two of their buildings are the two of the tallest buildings in Philadelphia, and now they are pretty much the skyline of Philadelphia. Like that's what that's what they're doing to and the internet of America itself. They're just a giant monopoly, and you know they own Universal. I know that. They own DreamWorks. They own Illumination. I don't want either of them. I don't really care. I do, but I don't because I'm sort of just annoyed at the idea that that we have to go through this again. We have to see another brand just get eaten away, and I'm just worried about what's going to happen to, if Comcast gets it, what's going to happen to Deadpool? What's going to happen to these Fox Marvel properties? Because obviously Disney would have done something differently, and that's the fascinating thing about it. Is it good? No. But is it something that's going to happen? Probably. The Gaming Raccoon asks, do you think Adult Swim would move to another channel? No. I think that the issue that Turner Broadcasting is in is Turner Broadcasting owns TBS, and they own Cartoon Network, which also has Adult Swim. TBS is already essentially Adult Swim. That's the weird thing about it. Like if you want an adult sort of cartoon, I mean, if you want an adult sort of block, you could watch TBS all day, and that's sort of the format. They have a great lineup, I think, and I mean, it could be called Adult Swim. You could switch it over if you wanted to and call it Adult Swim. I think that would be a smart move, but that would be the only possibility. I don't think Boomerang, which is already limited. The problem with Boomerang is that it's already a secondary channel. There's no way that it wouldn't be on a normal baseline viewership ability. So you'd have the issue where you already have lower ratings, and where would you go with that? So the only way that it's going to be another channel, I think, is through TBS. Ben Freeman, how do you think the Disney streaming service is going to perform? I think it'll perform pretty well. I didn't explain anything. I think it's going to be, I'm very curious because Disney pretty much, once they own Fox, they'll have the majority ownership in Hulu. So I'm curious if Hulu is going to be their streaming service. That would be great because then they don't even need to rename anything. They don't need to produce anything. They could just have Hulu be the hub, and then they'll just go from there. I think that that's probably what they want to do. If the Fox thing doesn't work out, then they'll probably have to make something brand new and try to get people interested in going in that direction. Then people have to pay for Disney, and I don't know how that's going to work out. So it just depends on what's on the service. I'd love to see a lot of old cartoons on there. I'd love to see like a huge backlog, but that's what needs to happen, a massive backlog, a massive lineup. I'd love to see that. Cooler Man says, I think cable will officially die in the early 2020s. I doubt that, especially with the fact that, here's the thing about cable, right? If you look at other genres, politics-wise, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, they all get high ratings whenever there's a presidential run in the U.S. So you have that thing where it raises ratings and then it drops once the whole thing's over, and then it raises again and then it drops. So that'll be fine. I think it's cartoons that are going to continue to suffer because kids are watching on streaming services, and Cartoon Network and Nick and Disney are not these brand names. I mean, Disney is, but they're not like the direction. It's all streaming. It's all Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. Cartoons all day. Did you know the last Saturday morning cartoon block was The Vortex on the CW, but it ended a long time ago? Yeah, those Saturday morning cartoon blocks were awesome. I loved them, but I don't. Even in today's world, there'd be no way that they'd come back as much as I would have loved it. Lovely Ashley Love Me says, I think that Nick will do a streaming service second. They will falling with Disney. Nick actually isn't falling ratings wise. They're doing pretty well, even though they make a lot of really bad sitcoms. I think that they're still doing ratings wise. They're still doing fine. So I don't have a fear for them. they could keep going on cable as long as their ratings are fine. I think the issue will be, what do they do when the ratings decline? I think that Nickelodeon has such a big lineup that I think they can last for a while. What Nick is also doing very well is that they're going out and they're making movies. They're making a set of movies still, Loud House movie, another SpongeBob, and they're making these brands relevant worldwide still. They're trying their best, and Cartoon Network isn't doing that. They're making Teen Titans, but how long is Teen Titans going to last before they go to something else? So I think that they're definitely playing it smarter. Dave Meltzer. I think I see these companies becoming monopolies these days. What do you think on the matter? Yeah, that's a big problem. Like I said with earlier questions and responding to them, yeah, the whole like AT&T Time Warner merger is going to be very interesting because not only the size of it, these are billions upon billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars on the line here. We are ants to them. We are just ants. And and the interesting thing about that is like just the fact that AT&T already owns Crunchyroll, and then Time Warner owns Toonami. So what's going to happen with Toonami at that point? Are they going to share? Are they going? What? That's going to be a whole different can of worms just in that particular media. You look at then everything else, the Disney and Fox merger. That's going to be interesting to see what they do with all the Family Guy, the Seth MacFarlanes, if they're going to effectively change how Adult Swim works with all of that content. That's all a very fascinating direction to see what they do and where they go. Oh no, I didn't lose my spot, did I? Yeah, I lost my spot. Okay, some of the same questions. Did you eat me? Did you eat my tiger cookies? Asks. How did you feel about Nick Mom before its cancellation? I don't remember Nick Mom, so I wasn't around. I don't think at that point. So yeah. Once I research, I can give you an answer, but I don't even recall it. So Tim 5L 4L FL. I mean. Oh, Salem Peterson, what do you think about the future of Boomerang? I mean, I've made a number of videos on this. I think that it's a dead channel. It's a useless channel at this point. It is a shell of itself, and I think that the direction that the streaming service is in is pathetic. I think they need to expand on it. It shouldn't have just been Boomerang. It should have been Cartoon Network from the jump. Everything should have been streamed at that moment. It shouldn't have just been Boomerang. I think that the problem is now they fractured it, right? Like now they have a Boomerang streaming service and they're going to make a Cartoon Network streaming service. Why didn't they just combine the two from the jump? That would have been the most logical thing. People wouldn't have mind paying $5 if there were more content than just Boomerang. Come on, guys. That should have been 1 + 1. Foxbox 100% awesome asks, do you think Nick Splat should move from Teen Nick to Nicktoons? Yes. I think that Nick Splat should easily be switched from a channel that is named Teen Nick to a channel that is logically made for Nickelodeon's animation department, Nicktoons. That like I never understood why Nickelodeon would have done that. Lovely Ashley, let me ask another question. What's your opinion on the new Nickelodeon pilots? I need to get more information on them. I don't at the moment have a clear picture of them. I'll probably do a video on it, but yeah. Ben Freeman asks, do you think that Simpsons is better than Family Guy? I think that Simpsons has a much stronger lineage than Family Guy at the moment. No, I think that their history is much stronger than their history is much stronger than their actual, past, if that makes sense. Or Jesus, their history is much stronger than their present. So, they've been around longer. They've done a lot more. They were way more slice of life back in the day. I love watching some of the classic Simpsons. I think Family Guy back in the day was always a goofy, sort of dumb series, and I think that Simpsons was smarter. So I'd say Simpsons. Thomas Lopez asks, what makes Cloudy the TV show better than TTG and PPG 2016? I think Cloudy is a little more, Cloudy's a little more, I haven't watched either of those in a little while. It's been a while, since last year. I think Powerpuff Girls I said this before, is Panderpuff Girls, and is embarrassing. Teen Titans Go is okay. It can be witty at times. And I think Cloudy with Chance of Meatballs is just a little fun character, a goofy character with sort of scientific but more fictional things, and they're all very much a episodic series. I think I'd put them in the same boat. If I didn't before, I have to watch my review again, but I have to think about my review again. But if I said it was better then I definitely would take it back now. I just have to watch more. I'm not hot off the presses of watching all of them, so I don't have a present thought. Just the same sort of thoughts. Cartoons all day. What animation company do you think should go out of business? Sony, Illumination, or DreamWorks? I think none of them. I think that it's great that we have 3 animation studios. I think Illumination is one of those studios that does things by the book, but we always have a studio that does things by the book, as in just a bland, average story. Sony is doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That is fascinating, but I do think Emoji Movie is the most embarrassing thing they've ever made. I don't know what to think of them, because they do great stuff, then they do awful stuff, then they do great stuff, and they have a Popeye pilot that could have easily worked. DreamWorks, I think, is already pretty much dead outside of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. The way that DreamWorks has sort of been kicked around has been so disappointing, because they were great a few years ago, and now they're just nothing. I mean, look at them. Trolls, Boss Baby, Home, like, god dang, that was depressing to watch, especially as a huge fan of them. But I think that, now they're switching up, they're getting better, and I'd love to see what's going to happen in the next few years as Dragons comes out, as Croods comes out, if they'll come back and with the force. Cartoons all day. Do you know that Illumination was a copyright up to DreamWorks, but they knew how to make money out of the movies? I think that they're a copy of everyone. Like they copy off of plots of everyone. They are the crude company that is very much like DreamWorks, but I think that they're not as good most of the time. DreamWorks has made some duds, and they have made more duds recently than they have in the past. And I don't think I think DreamWorks has made money off of their movies. They have made billion-dollar movies before. It's just that Illumination, it's just that right now they're both owned by the same company, and DreamWorks is not given any time to really shine, and most of their projects have been sort of kicked around and died off. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna answer most of these questions. Big Bang Theory, bro. 333. Do you think Nickelodeon should make a Wayne's World cartoon? I think anyone should make a Wayne's World cartoon. That would be so much fun. That would be hilarious. Oh my gosh, that'd be fun to watch. Yeah, cartoons are all day. Yeah, they'll kill Disney XD because it's not bringing in revenue. Once the advertising revenue goes down and it's not worth it, that's when they kill it off. I think that's it. You know, like it's not going to be about like, oh, it's a great schedule. Like there have been a lot of great things that have died off because the quality was not met with viewership, and that's all. That's the only issue. Yeah. Jessica Schulman asks, why do we have a lot of reality shows, and what's your thought on TMZ? TMZ is awesome. No, come on, TMZ sucks. But I think that a lot of media is getting that way. A lot of media is just becoming sensationalist. It's a bunch of petty, stupid crap, and TMZ always gets always is the first one to be criticized. But I think that a lot of other media sources do it too, and you know, it's depressing, but that's where we are. Bamboo Carver and Friends, what do you use to edit your videos? I use Final Cut Pro, man. That's what I use. I've used it since I bought the Mac Mini back in late 2015. And the first video that you'll see me edit it on is the first one that I really edited on is a Star Wars Battlefront review, and then the one that I really understood how to edit on was the Super Noobs review. Both of them came out, I think, early 2016. Turkey Tom asks, are you a closeted homosexual? Unfortunately, no. Big Bang Theory Bro 333. Do you wish there was a Wayne's World 3 instead of a Shrek 5? Yes, I do. Oh my gosh. I think Shrek, wore out its welcome, and I think that Shrek 5 is unnecessary. No one really wants it. I mean, they had to reboot it, literally, so no one really wants it. Itsy Bitsy Spider question again. Thomas Lopez answered your question. It was in the original submission. Do you think potential of new... should take notes of... Jay Turner, I answered your question. Can you do the Friday the 13th movies, what best to worst? I haven't watched them. What's your favorite cartoon TV movie? Probably Channel Chasers. I know there's probably one that's better at the moment, but at the moment I'm getting Channel Chasers. Such a great movie. What's your favorite cartoon? Probably Dexter's Lab. Yeah, probably Dexter's Lab. Let's see. Destiny Vixen asked 2 questions. Can you make a vid on these bizarre cartoons from North Korea? I might get into it. I don't know. It depends on where I go in terms of content. Usually, I'm focused on analytics, and sometimes I'll do cartoon reviews, but it just depends on where my scripts are. So, And what's your opinion on Mars Reviews? I mean, he's a cool YouTuber. I haven't watched his videos in a while, so I don't have an instant thought. Just like the dude that asked me about another YouTuber, I don't, usually I don't watch animation YouTubers on my off time because I'm usually, scripting or watching like other things like debates or reviews of movies like Black Panther or playing some games. So yeah. Crossover Fanatic, do you think Teen Titans Go is ruining Cartoon Network? I think that it's not ruining Cartoon Network, it's the scheduling of Cartoon Network itself that's ruining Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go would have been fine if it aired once or twice a week, or 5 times, like once a day or 2 times a day. But instead it's airing more and more often, and that's the problem. It's gotten the stigma of being the worst cartoon ever, but it's not. It's just a average cartoon that is not the original Teen Titans, and that's it. It's not ruining Cartoon Network. It's just that Cartoon Network is airing Teen Titans Go way too much. Hi 9151, what's your opinion on Velasquez Bomb? The only video that I watched was a response to my video of Christina Miller killing Cartoon Network, and I've watched a few other videos. Again, I don't have any thoughts on them because I haven't watched these videos in a while. So I mean, you know, that I don't have a mindset of other cartoon reviewers at the moment. So already asked the cartoon questions. I haven't checked out Transformers RID. I haven't seen that. Bamboo Carver and Friends asks, all the kids at my school hate Teen Titans Go, but I guess my school is older than the demographic. What do you think? I think the issue is that some people... So I remember this as a kid. I remember that a lot of kids would say that they hate something, but they actually liked it. Like, you know, I remember when some kids would ask, do you like... everyone would say, would you hate Johnny Test? And I would say, yeah, just because I would fit in. But I enjoyed it from time to time. It wasn't like I would watch it all the time, but I would enjoy it if it was on every once in a while. It's fun to hate on whatever is the popular thing and to hate on. And I think that that's a problem with just being in a school community. But I do think that, yeah, if you're older than the demographic, then, you know, that won't really matter. If the demographic likes it, then the demographic likes it. But if the older demographic doesn't, then you're out of the demographic. You know what I mean? Like, that's the issue. Hope that answered your question. Ben Freeman, what's your opinion on the cartoon community? I think it's great because we have so many cartoon critics, we have so many cartoon reviewers, we have so many people that talk about cartoons. We tell the brands like Nick, Cartoon Network, we tell them what the issues are. And you guys are very vocal, and I think it's great. I think that it's awesome that we have found a way to sort of come together, and we have a way to voice our opinion. I answered your Transformers question. Jessica Schulman, do you have a celebrity crush? I can't recall the name at the moment. Solane Peterson, do you think kids will, Valerian in the city of Thousand. Okay. Do you think kids will get tired of Teen Titans Go marathons? I mean, you know, I would think so, but I guess not, because it constantly is aired. So you would think that they would know what was going on. You would think they would know what kids would want, because that's their demographic. But if they don't, then that's on them, and that's the problem. Celebrity crush, Cara Delevingne. Do you like Transformers RD? Again, I answered the question. Thomas Lopez, did Baby Looney Tunes cause the downfall of CNN? I remember as a kid watching that show and enjoying it. I didn't think it was a problem. I mean, was it scheduled all the time? I don't think it was scheduled all the time either, because it would switch out with other things. I don't think Baby Looney Tunes was the problem, Thomas. Revolution 316 Resurrection. Do you watch FX and Sci-Fi? I used to. I don't want anymore. Shady ZY. What is your least favorite Nicktoons Cartoon Network show, Nick sitcom, and CN Real show? I don't have a least favorite CN Real show because I don't remember any of them except for Destroy Build Destroy, and I actually liked that as a kid. I'm one of the dudes that actually thought CN Real was fun. I get its problems, but I did like Destroy Build Destroy. Nick sitcom wise, I don't like any Nick sitcoms really. I mean, I watched iCarly and I watched Victorious, but it was because usually there was nothing else on, so you just watch it. So I don't have a fan, not really a fan of them. I just was there watching it. Cartoon Network show, original show or acquired show? Because acquired show, I'd say probably not Secret Mountain. I wouldn't. I mean, not acquired show. I'd say Secret Mountain, but original show, I'd say like not Secret Mountain Fort Awesome, but that other show that came out right alongside it. I can't remember its name, but it was bad. Problem Solvers. That was pathetic. Then you had on Nicktoons, I'd say Fanboy and Chum Chum was embarrassing. Same with Planet Sheen, such a letdown. So yeah. Thank you, Shade Z. Jamie does art. I subscribed to you last week. I didn't know you did live streams, so that's cool. Yeah, haven't done live streams in quite a while. So I hope this is going out as good as you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Ali19Z, simple question, so maybe I missed it in a video, but what's your age and what shows did you watch growing up? I am 20, and I watched Cartoon Network, and I watched the Cartoon Network and Nick rivalry in the starting in the early 2000s into the mid 2000s and then into the late 2000s, and of course 2010s as well. I remember Avatar: Last Airbender, those marathons on Nicktoons Network. Those were awesome. Those are my favorite because I love that show. I remember the launch of regular show and Adventure Time and Gumball and Steven Universe. It was all fun seeing that resurgence come back. I didn't really think the original downfall, I wasn't really recognizing as a kid. I didn't really see it as a kid. It wasn't like something that I noticed. So, that downfall thing, because the way that Cartoon Network aired its content, I didn't see it. I remember as a kid also watching Pokemon before going to school. Same with SpongeBob. What's New Scooby-Doo? That was also cool. But yeah, those were some of the shows that I watched as a kid. Not all of them, but there was Kids WB as well, and all the Saturday morning cartoon blocks that I'm missing out on. Not explaining, but yeah. What does Disney Channel have to do in order to compete with Nickelodeon? Not be as crappy as it already is and fix itself. What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon block when you were a kid? Kids WB. I liked ABC One as well, but I think Kids WB was the place because they had afternoon blocks too. That was what was fun. You get off of school and they'd have afternoon blocks. Like, who was doing that? That was fantastic. That was like awesome. Are you interested, Joshua Abbott too? Or are you interested in Close Enough? Do you think it'll be better than regular show? I don't know if it'll be better than regular show. I think it's I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say it's better or not. I wouldn't say it would be better or worse. I think I'm just excited to see Quintel continue to do his greatness because like he is an awesome dude. So yeah. I'm definitely sure that he would learn some things from regular show as well. But I found regular show to be great, and I think that he'll do the same thing with Close Enough. Tim5FL, do you prefer sub or dubs? I prefer subs. I love Subway. No, I love subtitles. I think that sometimes the emotion gets lost in English voices. So I think that realistically, if you want the pure form of the emotion being told and being shown, the full audio emotion, you hear about it from subs. You hear that voice acting or from the original person. And I think that an adaptation changes that. An adaptation does not present the same emotion. It can at times. I do love Lelouch's voice in Code Geass, but I think that there is a certain amount of emotion in the originals as well. The pure form, the pure art form that was once there. It's kind of like when you look at the Star Wars special editions versus the original. It's like, all right, what do you want to go with? Because there are possibilities of betterness, but I prefer the subs, not the dub. Lazy Cheese, who's better, Miller or Snyder? At the moment, Snyder. What do you think of Legend of Korra? I think that it is a very missed opportunity, and I think that they should have not gone with Korra. I think they should have developed into Aang and Zuko and Katara and Toph's teenage years. I would have loved that way better than they really crappy sort of romance based thing. There was so much unnecessary drama. There were no stakes involved for the most part. It was very stupid. The universe that was there was way less investing because they took away all the fun of having Ba Sing Se in the classic days. They took away all the interest of the world that was originally built up. You know, I was very excited for the series, but it just did not deliver, in my opinion. And I just felt like it was just they were pandering toward females for the most part, and I just thought that was pathetic because it was way more interesting when they were like, it was action. I thought that, you know, the original series had way more effort just in my opinion. How far do you see OKKO Let's Be Heroes going? I think that OKKO is interesting because I loved it. I really wanted that thing to become a show way back when the short came out in 2014 or 2012 or whenever it came out. I was really excited for it. I remember seeing the short for it and saying, man, I wish this was a show. And we waited for so long, and then 2017 came, and there it was. And I'm glad that it's here. I'm glad that it arrived. I'm glad that it showed up. But yeah, I think that it can last for a while. It just depends on who's watching it. You know, that's the issue. It just needs more people. It needs eyes on it all the time. It needs merchandise on it, and that's it. I already answered your question. Would you have greenlit Underfist if it could have been just as good, if not better, than Grim Adventures? Definitely, you know. Answer your question, Thomas Lopez. Dead Zoom, will you be doing other videos on Cartoon Network present eras? Yes, I will. That was just the first one. It takes a lot of research, takes a lot of time. Just like the Attack the Block series, they are very research heavy. I want to make sure I get everything right. And, you know, everyone's told me about some of the problems that have, you know, some of the issues, some of the errors, but I'm trying to work on it. So, you know. Carter Daniels, I think I answered your question already. Macroblast already answered your question. I think I answered the Adult Swim channel question. Cooler Man, same question. Bamboo Carver and Friends, what do you think of Total Drama Daycare? I don't like the Total Drama franchise. That's just my point of view. It's the same sort of reality sort of thing that I'm never a fan of. So even as a kid, I was never like, man, I really like it. Would jump from Foster's to that, and I was like, nope, not my thing. Nope, can't get into it. So yeah, I would change the channel. You know, that just was me. What do you think Adult Swim should revive next? I definitely think that that popularity of Galactic Kids Next Door should easily be either on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim. But I mean, if they were something that needs to be revived, it's definitely that. Either that or Symbiotic Titan. I mean, Tartakovsky has shown that he can obviously come back with some strength. So I think that you know, Symbiotic Titan have returned as an Adult Swim series this time. Give it a little more serious tone. I'd love that. Are you hopeful for Adult Swim Junior? I don't even think I don't know if it's actually true or not. We'll find out later in spring. But I mean, where is it going to air? Is it going to be? I think that it's possible. You know, and like I said in my video on Attack the Block, it's possible. I just don't know where it'll go, and that's the question. If it happens, I'm hopeful. How do you feel about ZW Gaming? How do you feel about Power Rangers having 3 more years on Nick since the product has not been well received as the Disney or Fox era? I mean, Power Rangers was always that. I always thought it was a cool idea. It was always a cool premise. Never got into it, but you know, I see it. It's very popular. So, yeah. I definitely will talk about a Fox Kids in the future. George Acosta. Plasma Skiff Industries. I'd love a movie based around the Cartoon Network City era. Yeah, same here. That would be awesome. I'm going to take about 5 minutes left of questions. Once it's about 2 hours, then, or, yeah, 2 hours, and I'll sort of wrap it up. Would you like Camp Lazlo revival or continuation? I'd say Camp Lazlo. I wouldn't want either. You know what? If I had to choose, I'd say continuation. No need to revive Camp Lazlo as a like new thing, just a continuation or whatever. Hanna-Barbera needs to stop the Scooby-Doo franchises. I think that, if it's popular, it's popular. I liked What's New Scooby-Doo. I haven't really got interested in any other since. So, it's a media. It's a product that people love. So I mean, can you blame them? All right, Metal Sonic answered your question. Should Toonami stay off the AT&T and cart? Should Toonami stay off the AT&T part and cart? I'm confused by that question. GP3, yeah, there's a massive fight between me and K9 Biscuits. I don't think he'll ever be on another podcast again. So, yeah, yeah. Eric M, your YouTube channel is just like DC Network. DC Network is. I need to research that. I think I've seen a few of his videos though. Oh, hi Majid. What show should Adult Swim? I already asked a question. Do you play video games? Yes. Okay. Does Bruno Mars get what? Oh, Jesus Christ! Why did I fall for that one? Do you think Disney should bring back Toon Disney? No, because that property is dated. Do you like Steven Universe? Yes. Do you like new season? I don't like new seasons of SpongeBob. The only seasons that I like are probably the first 3, and then a few like 4 or 5. I think there was just more gold there, and there just isn't now. Which cartoon character should be a romantic couple? I love that what is that DreamWorks movie with the snow character, with the Jack Frost character and Elsa from Frozen. I do like when they have that I like, that's a crossover that I would love to have seen. It would never happen, but that's like, man, would that be cool. But yeah. Hello, last night I recently watched the new Dragon Ball Super episode. Did you? I do not watch Dragon Ball Super. I should get into it, but I don't. And I missed out on that boat. So, what is your final straw to Cartoon Network if you have one? I think I already laid it out on my other videos. They just need to make sure that the schedule is consistent with the name. And I think I've just given up. I mean, at a certain point, I was thinking about making a video saying, we should abandon Cartoon Network because they're in a place where they can't really shift themselves all that well. But yeah, I think that my final straw's already been passed, and I already know also that my demographic reach is my demographic is my age group. I will not be in the same mindset, so I will not necessarily know what kids want all that well. I can remember what I wanted as a kid, but I do not know what this generation wants, especially when you have everything sort of way more faster paced. If AT&T takes over Cartoon Network, will Toonami stay or go? That's a good question. I think Toonami will stay, but I think that the issue is that Crunchyroll is also owned by AT&T, so you have that sort of mixed up. Yeah, I guess I'm done with the questions, guys. But thank you for being around. This was a great 2-hour podcast sort of Q&A. This was fun. Definitely.